A lot of people who are part of the Shill access media are not happy that the audiences have rejected garbage like She-Hulk and Rings of Power. They want it to be a success. They need it to be a success. And they're especially furious when people on YouTube who are simply speaking the truth to the fandom get way more interaction than they do. And that's why they write hit pieces like this. Shows like the Rings of Power and She-Hulk have been runaway successes. Why can't keyboard warriors admit it? And in this article, they do mention a couple names, including my name, including Gary from Nerdrotic, and say, how can these people refuse to see the truth? Well, it was really bad timing to make this article public, or to even write this in general, because on the very same day that this was released by Mark Burrows, who we'll get into, because the very same day that this came out, the Nielsen ratings dropped. And guess what? It's not good news for Rings of Power or for She-Hulk. As so many people know, the Nielsen ratings, the industry standard for ratings, they're delayed a couple weeks for streaming. So we got the week of September 19th through the 25th, well into Rings of Power, well into She-Hulk. And guess what? She-Hulk fell out of the top 10, not just for overall, but even for original programming, beaten by things like The Great British Bake Off. It's gone. Completely collapsed. Bad news for She-Hulk. And oh yeah, that other one, Rings of Power, the one that spent $700 million on one season for Rings of Power. Oh yeah, they're now getting beat just in streaming by House of the Dragon, a show that cost a fraction of the amount of money, a show that is available on less places in the United States. It's a smaller platform for HBO and HBO Max than they have for Amazon Prime Video in the United States. Yet still, House of the Dragon is beating it, not to mention all the linear viewers that they have on HBO. So it's demolishing Rings of Power. Pretty bad time to try to write a garbage article like this to try to claim that these things are just such incredible successes when the reality is not in your favor. Happily, these shows have proven to be huge hits, extremely popular with the audiences and critics alike, despite the trolling. Well, Mark Burrows, what does the audience think for Rings of Power? What does the audience think for She-Hulk Attorney at Law? You can lie to yourself, you can lie to your readers, but you're not gonna lie to the vast majority of the fandom out there. This is pathetic. But this is exactly the kind of tactics I would expect from someone like this in Mark Burrows, who, let's go to another article they wrote a few days ago. There's no such thing as being straight. Young people are increasingly identifying as bisexual, which can only be a good thing. The same Mark Burrows. Now, I had no idea who this guy was. Got 10,000 followers and a blue check mark. Now, this is one of those people. I usually make fun of people with pronouns in their bios, but in this instance, he's one of the few that I'll say, you know what? I think you should have your pronouns in your bio because it's kind of tough to tell just based on a profile picture. So I am an advocate of this person putting their pronouns in their bio. But let's get into this because it really is fucking hilarious. The Great Doom was foreseen from the moment the first trailers hit, the first images were released, and the casting first announced. This will be a disaster. This will end the studio. Fans have had enough. Well, I'll take the couple. I won't say this will end the studio. I'm not sure if I've said that about anything ever. And I don't know if there's a whole lot of people on YouTube, at least, that have said that. But hey, critics on Twitter and YouTube said it about Amazon's Lord of the Rings. They said about Disney's She-Hulk, and they said it about Obi-Wan. These are just the most recent three. It was said they'd been infected by woke agendas, had no respect for the source material, and that fans would eventually realize the Emperor would be revealed in all his naked glory. Happily, all three shows have proven to be huge hits, extremely popular with audiences and critics alike. Only a month into Rings of Power run, and Amazon execs were claiming viewing figures were cresting towards 100 million. Yes, they were claiming that indeed. She-Hulk has been Disney Plus top trending show. Does that mean it's a huge success with the audience or actually ratings-wise? No, it absolutely does not. Even if it is the top trending thing on Disney Plus, that might just mean there's not a lot of things that people are watching there right now. And is regularly in the top 10 streaming shows in the US, according to Nielsen ratings. Like I said, very bad week for this dumb fuck to come out with this because as you can see, overall, not even close to the top 10. Even in just original programming, not in the top 10. She-Hulk is missing in action because, spoiler alert, not as many people are watching this as people like this would lead you to believe. What a fucking joke. These shows receive largely favorable reviews as well if you ignore the review bombing on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. So if you ignore the fans, if you ignore all the negative reviews, it gets mostly positive reviews. Yeah, that would be the same case for every single thing that's ever come out. If you ignore the people that don't like it, then yeah, there's a bunch of positivity surrounding it. This dude's a fucking joke. You'd think those franchise fans that predicted Doom would be delighted. Their favorite properties have new iterations that have been popular and well-received. They're not well-received. So why are those same people still calling those shows disasters? It's almost as if people didn't enjoy it, jabs YouTuber Ryan Kinel sarcastically. It's almost like nobody watched this fucking garbage, even though we know they did. Well, let me clear the air, I guess. When I do say something like, nobody's fucking watching it, that's being a little hyperbolic. Obviously, there are some people watching it. But when you have a show with the budget and the marketing of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and you can't even get in the top 10 in streaming original ratings, that is a pathetic failure for She-Hulk. As much as people want to lie about it, as much as the mainstream wants to put their narrative out there, the actors want to claim it's the top viewed thing. No, it isn't. That's a lie. That's a joke. And we have the numbers to back it up. Meanwhile, fellow streamer Nerdrotic was busy having his 2 cents worth on Rings of Power. This is a repurposed giant global disaster, he says, of one of the most successful television shows of all time. How can you fucking with a straight face? Well, to you, there's no such thing as straight, I guess, Mark Burrows, he, him. How can you say with a straight face that Rings of Power is one of the most successful streaming TV shows ever? Because you have to factor in the budget. You have to factor that in. $700 million for one season of Rings of Power. That means that it needs to be breaking records, that it needs to be like all-time incredible, like above the rest. That's what it has to do to be profitable. But that's not happening with this. And in fact, 5 episodes in, and it's fallen behind House of the Dragon, which cost a fraction of what that costs. This is its direct competition. And not only is House of Dragon on streaming, but 20 to 30% of the audience is watching linearly on HBO, or they've DVR'd it, or they're watching on demand, things like that. A massive audience. So in reality, House of the Dragon has demolished Rings of Power, and it's not even close. The people who refuse to accept this, the people who are coming out with these hit pieces at very inopportune times, right as the numbers come out, proving that they are the ones who are in the wrong, man, oh man, it's almost like these people aren't in touch with reality. It's almost like these people maybe have some mental illness of some sort. I don't know. That might explain some things like this, wouldn't it? But it's just so funny that on the very same day that someone comes out with a hit piece like this, targeted towards YouTubers who are far more successful and getting far more interaction than they are because so much of the audience is agreeing with what we're saying. So funny that on that very same day you come after us, the numbers come out that prove you're a fucking joke. Trying to say audiences just love it if you ignore all the bad audience scores. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. This dude is a fucking joke, and he got destroyed just a few hours after posting this article because the numbers came out. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone. And a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.